Hi, I am Sandra Edwards, and I am the host of Good Morning Fillmore. So, the whole point of Good Morning Fillmore, we really want to be able to reach out to our community within the Santa Clara River Valley, also known as Heritage Valley, on various subjects that are of interest and importance to us all. Today, I do have a special guest, and I would like to introduce to you Ernie Villegas. He is the principal owner of Villegas Public Affairs and Special Projects Manager for the City of Fillmore. Welcome, Ernie.
Well, thank you, Sandra. It's nice to be here on our initial Good Morning Fillmore. Thank you so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. I do know you personally and professionally, and I have to say I'm excited to start this conversation with you. I mean, we've had multiple conversations, but I feel like this one's going to be a special one. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and pretty much where you're at today, how it came to be?
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, I'm a longtime Fillmore person here. I've been here for about 46 years, and I've been involved in the community from various different areas. But I was a former mayor and city council member here in Fillmore back in the early 2000s. My profession really was in public affairs and government affairs. I worked with Edison for about 30 years. But then I also left the company and started my own company, Paladin Principal, and also Villegas Public Affairs. I've been fortunate enough over the years to have been blessed by being able to work with various different cities and counties, organizations, chambers of commerce, boys and girls clubs. And that's one of the things
Mhm.
that my wife and I want to do is become involved. And so I've had that ability to engage and work in communities, community building, and community structure, and looking at what it would take to understand what would it take to make a city move and move forward. And that's where we are with today with Fillmore. When I retired from Madison, I also was the chief of staff for Assemblyman Jeff Carell here. And afterwards, I thought, well, in my retirement age, I think I'm going to go and devote my time to the city of Fillmore. So what got me here really was reaching out to the city, reaching out to our city manager, and seeing if there was a place where I could help in terms of economic development, special project strategies, and move our city forward. In the next 10 years, this whole area, this whole valley is going to change. We have major development happening from the east in the Santa Clarita Valley area, Valencia. And that the major project is going to be coming all the way to Ventura County line. So this whole area, Piru, Fillmore, Santa Paula, is going to change. And we have to be ready for those changes. We have to make sure that we have a voice, not only a voice for Fillmore, but a collective voice for our whole Heritage Valley area. And so that's what
You're so
excited me.
right.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's what excited me is the fact that if we could come in and develop some of these strategies, starting off with Fillmore, then we would be able to go ahead and move toward that vision.
That's very admirable of you. In your retirement age, you're supposed to be, enjoying yourself and kicking back. But here you are trying to make the city of Fillmore a better place. And I feel like even though there are very minute people right now that are in this effort, it will grow and we will be ready in that next decade of where we're going to be for the city.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
So,
important.
yeah, 5 years ago, you agreed to work with the city to establish an economic development strategy called Destination Fillmore. Can you tell me a little bit about what the concept is and how is Destination Fillmore coming to be?
Sure. If you lived around Fillmore and Piru and Santa Paula, you definitely will see that Highway 126 is a place that people want to go from the east to the west. In many cases, you'll see people from the San Fernando Valley, Los Angeles, in many cases Santa Clarita Valley, that will pass through Fillmore, not necessarily stop here, but basically just go to the beach, for an example, Ventura. And and over the years, I've wondered. We have so much treasures around here. First and foremost, We're the last best small town in Southern California. That's our tagline. We have
You're
the
right.
train. We have the train. We have all this beautiful valley. We have agriculture. We have a history here. If you go to downtown Fillmore, that town could be converted into any town USA, and we've done that. We have the film industry that comes in here, but yet nobody
Mhm.
really knows about Fillmore. I still have people that come here or have moved here, and they said, we didn't even know this place existed until we came out here, took a spin, and what a lovely place. And we're so glad that we moved in here. Well, Destination Fillmore is just that. It's a mindset. It's changing the way we think. It's a cultural change for us in our community. We have to be proud of Fillmore. We need to uh, really boast about all the wonderful amenities that we have here in town. And so
Mhm.
that concept has to be for every person in our community. They have to embrace that Destination Fillmore. If we live here, we want to be here. We want to shop here. We want to have all these events. If we're not from here, we want to visit here. This is a great place for people to come in for a weekend. It's a great place for people to come in when we have our events that go out throughout the year, whether it's music or it's fairs or it's historical, the museums, those types of things. And we need to embrace that and move that forward. So that's what Destination Fillmore is all about.
That's a beautiful message. And it's a beautiful movement where I think a lot more of us need to join in and really celebrate where we are and where we're from or where we're currently being, and really celebrate Fillmore and all the beauty that it is here. What do you think would be a good start, other than the movers and the shakers? What do you think the residents could start doing to help Destination Fillmore come to fruition even more so?
Well, I think there's a number of things, in today's world with the new technologies, just like today, for an example, that we're able to go ahead and establish this great program through Zoom.
Hmm.
The fact that we're able to do that because of the pandemic is that it's enhanced it even more. But certainly the social blogs, the websites, looking at how a person can find what their niche is. And that's what I had to do. I had to say, okay, where am I interested? What would I like to do? And I think everyone can look back and say, if I'm going to put a little bit of my time and effort in this community, what is it exactly that I'd like to do? Do I want to do events? Do I want to be with the kids? Do I want to focus on education? Do I want to focus in small business? Those are all these things. There's environmental concerns. There's technologies that you can do. What are you good at? What would you like to do? So they have to ask these
Hmm.
questions and then become involved. Sandra, we have quite a few organizations, service organizations. We have the Rotary Club, we have the Seroptimus Club, we have the Lions Club. They're all there. We have a Boys and Girls Club, and
Yep.
we have FAB. FAB is a product of Destination Fillmore, and what FAB stands for is the Fillmore Association of Businesses. And it was originated because small town like ours can struggle with a chamber of commerce. A lot of times you don't have enough members, but an organization like FAB can come in and work with downtown merchants and help them in terms of how they can keep their doors open, but have events, have street fairs, have things that will promote the downtown area. We also have that highway. And that highway area,
Right.
it's a bustling area. What kinds of businesses do we want to see on the highway? What kinds of new businesses do we want to see in downtown Fillmore? And I'll talk a little bit about that later too.
So the talking of networking and supporting the local businesses is great. But I wanted to ask, why do you think it would be important to establish a regional economic development plan with people in our area, not just in Fillmore, but in our surroundings, truly the Heritage Valley?
Yeah. No, that's a very good question. And fortunately I've had experiences of in my job and in my other careers of working with just that, and how we can formulate these strategies and then these collaborative partnerships, if you will. Um, Fillmore, Santa Paula, and Piru. Collectively, we're probably a community of 50 or 60,000 people, if that. So if you take a
Mhm.
look at Ventura County, and you take a look at all the cities, they are by far much, much bigger than ours. So when you are one entity, Fillmore as an example, you're roughly about 15,000 people, and yet you have to compete with Oxnard, Ventura, and Thousand Oaks. They have a voice. They have a collective voice as well. Well, for us, it's important for us as the change is starting to come in the next 10 years for us to come together as a region. Fillmore, Santa Paula, Piru really need to start to engage and working together and start developing these strategies. Because when we go to the county or we go to the state or we go to Caltrans or we go to the film industry, whoever we touch bases, we can do a better job and strengthen numbers, a collective voice of what our challenges are, what our wishes are, and what you can do to help us. So I think that's
Right.
essential, and it's very important that we embrace that whole concept.
And that makes a lot of sense because I mean, like you said, Fillmore is only so big. There's only so many people here, and collectively, the rest of the cities in our county holding together and joining forces. Ventura and Oxnard are pretty much almost the same place, and they have amongst the same kind of feeling and vibe. So when we move into our side of the county, we're kind of standalone.
Well, think about
So we
this.
do need to join forces in that way.
Yeah, think about this. When you look at Ventura County, and then you combine our three areas, Santa Paula, Piru, and Fillmore, look at what we have to offer here. Aside from the fact that it's not big cities, we have the agricultural belt. We have green belt ordinances around us. But let's just start on the east in Piru. You have a small little town that's being developed a little bit, but not too bad. But you have a dam, you have the lake up there. And so you have the Piru Lake up in that area. You have the small town, and they're starting to have more events in their communities. Then you look at Fillmore, with our heritage, the agricultural heritage, the train, the downtown area, the Anytown USA concept. And then you look at Santa Paula with its beautiful homes and the museums and the murals and the airport. One of the things that we're thinking about if we do this is actually have an event once a year, which we will call planes, trains, and automobiles. So just think of it. If we had a 3-day weekend here once a year here, we could basically start in Piru, where we would have a car show, if you will, and so you would have all these classic cars, and you would have a barbecue, and they'd have music, and that could be on a Friday. And then the Saturday, Fillmore would then hold a train rides and downtown, and you would have music there. And then on Sunday, you go to the airport. So you have the planes, trains, and the automobiles, and you make it into an annual event. How cool would that be? How envious would that
I
be from the rest of the county?
That that truly is envious. I mean, who wouldn't want to have a 3-day weekend aimed at trains, planes, and automobiles? I mean, that's the true spirit kind of sometimes that you can see for this area in the Heritage Valley because there's car shows all the time. Santa Paula, Fillmore, I'm sure Piru does, and they have the same culture as Fillmore because it's just literally down the street, an extension of.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's an envious marketing right there.
It is. It's terrific. And we were just touching base a little bit about events, but as you know, because you do a lot of events for the city with your parks and recreation capabilities, we because of the pandemic, we haven't had as much in the last year and a half or so. But we have things in the springtime, in the summertime, in the fall, in the winter, and that would only be enhanced even more if we were able to go ahead and do it from a regional perspective, working with the Santa Paula Chamber of Commerce, working with the Piru Neighborhood Council, working with our county. There's a lot of things that we
Right.
can do if we're in strength in numbers.
Who else do you think should be involved in the, I guess, revitalization and the push forward for Fillmore? Who should be involved in this area support group effort?
Well, I think it's probably different categories, but we could start off first of all with our local governments. I think our cities
Mhm.
and our county. We have a terrific supervisor in Kelly Long, and she's very much in favor of promoting and to develop a strategy for us. And so we
Mhm.
need to get them involved. Why? Because they can reach out to other people in other areas in government and in business. We certainly need to reach out to a marketing strategy. We need to let people know that we have property out here, that there's a
Right.
place that you can come in. We need to work with our schools. We have fantastic schools, and sometimes they get a bad rap. But when you really take a look at what they do, and now with their career tech education facility they just built here in Fillmore, it's going to take off even more. So we have to have a
That
close
is
relationship.
monumental.
Yeah, it is amazing to see that. And so we have to let people know, come and put your business here. Downtown, wouldn't it be great if our downtown was much like you would see in Solvang or Ojai or Paso Robles, where people can come in and there's bistros and there's a wine tasting and there's music, not a coffee house, but or a coffee shop, but a coffee house. Wouldn't it be great if we had events that you close the downtown area, and then you have all of your merchants come in and have this country fair, if you will. And wouldn't it be
Mhm.
wonderful if we continue to work with our children, with our kids, and having things for them to do throughout the year? So not only St. Patrick's Day, they could do things in Easter, but in the summertime. And of course, in the wintertime with Santa Claus and the train and all of those things. It's a
All
marvelous.
very fun things.
Yeah. So I think everybody can come in. Join a service organization. They should be involved. Our volunteers. But one thing I will say is that if there is a need, it's to have more manpower. It's to have more volunteers. We have a lot of young families, and their
Mhm.
kids are involved in many activities, sports and other things, dance. And then we have senior citizens. Well, you know what? Senior citizens and little kids, they get along great. So let's really promote volunteerism. That would be important in a small town like this. It really is a can-do community.
And volunteers really is the deciding point for a lot of things to happen. I mean, if you're in a community where there's not a whole lot of funding for paid hands to be laboring on these events, it really comes down to the residents and the volunteers who that message truly means the world to, and that they want to help it come to fruition. Are there any other projects that are coming up that maybe we should be aware of that are either coming from uh, FAB or efforts of the regional, kind of working together,
Yeah,
other than the
actually, yeah,
planes, trains, and automobiles?
yeah. Actually, we worked. We've been working with the Piru Neighborhood Council and the Santa Paula Chamber of Commerce. Both of them are very much interested in putting together an economic development business alliance, if you will, a
Mhm.
regional alliance where we would have one entity that would sort of represent our entire business community out here in our area. So that way, not every city is going to struggle to try to get members. It would be one sort of group effort, but then
Mhm.
each city would have its own focus. So this regional business alliance will be that umbrella, and then each one will have these different goals and strategies, to further enhance their businesses in their own community. That's one good aspect of it, I think. The other one
Mhm.
is to take a look at how we can promote our areas for business and industry. We want people to live here, play here, and work here if that's possible. We have to commute. We're commuters all the time. I've been working with the Santa Clarita area because that's where all the jobs are going to be. Our future for jobs is to the east, not to the west.
Mhm.
So we need to start engaging with all of those industries and let them know that there's a workforce here that is absolutely waiting to come in, and not just manual workforce. I'm talking about high tech. I'm talking about career tech education, going into aerospace and going into modern technologies. And Santa Clarita offers that. They're looking for people. They've got to hire people from all over California to bring them in. Well, 17 miles to their west, here we are. So we need to engage with them. We need
Good.
to have businesses come in, talk to our schools and talk to our colleges and start developing these programs, these internship
Yep.
programs, mentorships, those type of things. So there's so much to do. I don't have enough time, and I'm getting older, but there's so much to do out here that if you ask me, why do you do this? Because of that. I love our community. I love this whole opportunity for us to make this an even better place.
I love that excitement. I can see it in your face. I can hear it in your voice. We're so excited to have you join us today for Good Morning Fillmore. And I'm sure everyone who's watching right now is thrilled and buzzing with the excitement to help and assist in any way that they can. I thank you so much for being a guest on Good Morning Fillmore today. And I do welcome you back at a later time if you have any more news to share with the Heritage Valley, specifically Fillmore.
Thank you, Sandra. It's my pleasure. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And we invite you to join us again for the next episode of Good Morning Fillmore.